Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're gonna talk about Corsair K70 CORE, or basically the cheapest keyboard Corsair has that is any useful, basically RGB mechanical gaming keyboard. So let's dive deep into it. Now, first thing, whenever you are talking about something peripheral, like something that you yourself is going to use, it's not something that you can just watch some benchmark and all that. You have to understand what exactly is your use case, what exactly is your need, so to say. So let's start with this is my 15 years old keyboard, which I got for my Dell Inspiron 535S ancient computer. So it has been working, but again, it's a very weird layout. As you can see, it does not make sense why it has two. It has moved and all this and print screen and all that, which I do use a lot, is not there, and many keys are getting stuck, so that's no go. And keys are polished. A is completely, I have no idea. People say generally your E key is supposed to be worn out. My A key is worn out, and C and V, but I don't get it. Control C, Control V. So this is my keyboard and it's no longer reliable enough. So I'm like, okay, let's buy a new one. So what is my requirement? My requirement is getting a full keyboard, meaning normal 100% keyboard. If you have a full keyboard that looks something like this, that's what we classify as normal keyboard. Basically this whole section, F rows, then you have navigation rows and numpad. This is what is classified as IBM default keyboard. This became a standard by because IBM popularized it, another company followed it, then it became a pseudo standard, then people got ratified it. It's a full standard. So if you buy a lot of new keyboards, you may have noticed that much smaller version are available. Like this was a small keyboard, by the way. There is an even bigger version. If this is classified as 100%, there is 120%, which called battleship keyboard. So those are no longer in vogue. There are especially even in this, you can buy keyboards that have extra what you call programmable keys, exactly like flagships of the old days, battleship keyboards of the old days. It's just that they are so expensive, I could not afford it. They are like just stupid expensive, not a little bit expensive, stupid expensive. Even this bankrupted me, but this is like the bare minimum. So whenever you remove this area, we call it 10 keyless keyboard. Basically, you do not have numpad, so they are like, okay, 10 keyless. Is that okay for you? That's up to you. I use a lot of Google Sheets, so that's not okay for me. And I do type my password here rather than here. So that's a no-go for me. That's up to you. Then what about command? Again, I do need print screen. This is the frustrating part about this keyboard, is that it's made by Dell. It has layout of 10 full keyboard, but for some reason somebody in Dell decided that print screen and scroll lock and pause break should be in a function layer, meaning press this function, tuk tuk tuk. That's not okay to me. I do use print screen a lot, like ludicrously lot, so that's not okay for me. So that's why with all that requirement, I needed full size keyboard. Anything larger, awesome. Anything smaller, no go. It must be 100% or larger than that. So that kind of narrowed it down. Even on cheap Chinese ones, you generally see basically keyboards that do not have this segment, and even this segment is like either cramped or removed. The reason for that is the biggest expensive part of the keyboard when you are manufacturing it is the PCB. You would think other things, no? It's the PCB, and especially having a one giant PCB, it's idiotically expensive. So many times people, again, hobbyists started to shrink it, then Chinese companies started to mass produce it, then it became a own standard and own feel. And again, yeah, many people do not use numpad, so fair enough. But now it's like reaching a point 60%. What if it's 40%? I'm like, okay, that's a no-go. So full-size keyboard, okay, K70 CORE fulfills it. Another aspect, per key RGB. Now there is a lot of hype about RGB. Do you need RGB? That's up to you. I wanted to have it. That's the whole thing. I wanted to have it, so I am willing to pay for it. You may want it, you may need it, you may not need it. That's up to you. Do not let anyone else tell you. That's up to you. If you need it, buy it. If you do not, don't. But I needed RGB. So problem with RGB is that it's expensive. You are talking about 104 RGB LED. So for cheap companies like HP, they released a very cheap mechanical keyboard. That's good and all. It has RGB, but here's the deal. It's a rainbow RGB. Like, what the hell rainbow RGB means? Rainbow RGB simply means your keys have a fixed light, meaning right now these are going blue. It could change color. Oh, like it changed color. HP one will not. It has basically one row that is blue, another row that is purple. Like basically it has a rainbow and it will not change. That looks so cheap, so idiotic that I'm like, no. If it was like a simple, calm white color or razor green color or steel series red color, basically something muted where it's like, okay, it's just a backlit, it would have made sense. It's like having that RGB vomit. That's like, no. And all the like, oh, lighting effect, no. That's no. So That's why I was forced to get into per key RGB. Like early days, there used to be a scenario where we had like backlit with a, monochromatic light, but that has gone. So okay, per key RGB to basically upscale, no rainbow LED. Now, one thing I can assure you, no matter which level of keyboard user you are, basic or whoever, you will notice one problem, that legends do not last. Basically, the printing on keys do not last. And this is the penalty of cheapification that happened. Back in the old days of 17 and 80s, IBM Model F, Model M, they generally either used dye sublimated paints, which generally used to soak into the plastic, which was harder to wear off. And sometimes even pro level of that was double shot keyboard. Double shot is what you want in life. Double shot simply means whenever you take, for example, keycaps like this, it has a one core. That core is of a translucent. In this case, it's translucent simply because, again, RGB LED. But if it was color, like let's say blue black, so black would be the core part. So that plastic, and then they inject a different plastic with different color. So this border is a freaking stencil with actual physical plastic, meaning it's not going to be worn off unless you are actually grinding it. And yes, the keyboards that have been in use from 70s and 80s that had double shot, they are still working. They are still found in junkyard. All the keys are fine because they do not wear off. Like, it will take exponentially longer amount of time and something else will break before that. So that was a requirement. I must have double shot keyboard because I really do not like, keys wearing out. Now you will find people selling you two options, ABS and PBT. PBT is a bit better, but it does come with a consequence that is not as robust as ABS. ABS is much more robust. Consequence is ABS does not like your finger oils. So these fingers can easily shine your keyboard, and which looks horrendously bad. Like keyboard, this is shinier than what it was new, because again, ABS does shine through. Now this is a ABS keycap. I'm like okay with that. Double shot was priority for me, not PBT. PBT does have its own benefit because it's far more chemically inert. It's not physically stronger, it's chemically inert, meaning your finger oils will not damage it. But again, ABS, it will shine through, but again, as long as legend is there, I do not care. I'm okay with that. But you may be like, hey, I do require you may be completely allergic to shiny keys. In those sort of scenarios, that's up to you. So double shot was a primary requirement, and that's the reason why I did not bought a Keychron, which was like same price as this, same size as this, with extra keys, but I could not get. Now software support, thankfully Chinese keyboard have been sold enough that they have actually useful software, not as great as like Corsair or as greater as Keychron, but useful. Good warranty. Yeah, that's the weakest link of Chinese brands like a Red Dragon and all that. You get it a awesome piece, awesome, keep using it for years, or you may unlock out, which was the most common complaint I've seen on like Amazon and all that, where it's like, the RGB stopped working or this stopped working. Hot swappable keys are awesome, but it's like an insurance policy. You do not want to use it. You do not be like, oh yeah, this key failed, this key failed, and this key failed. Yeah, you do not want that. So, and again, I do know soldering. So in future, I do expect, especially after a few years of a use, I do expect some keys to go, but I would be able to replace that key. So an extra bells and whistle, it does have IQ button and does have the knob. Now my aim is that when I'm using this, I will program the FN key as a modifier for keyboards. Basically, I need degree symbol. There is a lot of fonts available in your computer. Like by default, almost all symbol that you can think of, it's there in default Windows. It's just that we do not know the keyboard combination. Degree symbol is very important for me. Like micro symbol is also there. Superscript, subscript, all of those things are there. It's just that keyboard combination is like convoluted, so to say. So I would try to use that with macro programming of IQ software, and I'll share that experience with you. So this puppy has 2 years of warranty. I do live in India, and I have tried basically, I had a DDR5 RAM that malfunctioned. So one stick malfunctioned. So I sent them, they replaced it. So I know in fact that Corsair will do RMA in India. So I'm sorted that at least for 2 years. If something bad happens, I should be able to, recover. So that's there. Keytronics applied 1 year of warranty. Chinese got luck with that. So now, one of the most critical aspect of this keyboard is that you do need a palm rest, because these are much taller than what you are used to. Much freaking taller. Like the lowest point here is basically the highest point of this sort of keyboard. So let that sink in. You're gonna need palm rest, like especially if you're coming from chiclet kind of, like a thin membrane keyboard like this. Yeah, you're gonna notice it. Like, and because it's a cheap one, they do have the support. Like it does have freaking magnets. Like you can pay attention. Like it has magnets. Like another magnet here. There is another, another magnet here and another magnet here. It has magnets for that magnetic palm rest, but it's not available. I'm not even sure that you can buy it separately, but it's there. So you have to be mindful of that. You have to be mindful of that. So this is my first foray into an actual keyboard. Now be mindful, do not buy keyboard based on someone else's recommendation. Always thorough yourself. Basically, what the heck you need, why do you need it, what is the requirement, what is the penalty, all of that. It's a prayer free. You're gonna touch it, you're gonna use it. It's not something that can be transferred through screen. And again, if you want to, you ask your friends who have the keyboard, use that for a few days or at least for a few sessions, then you will get ideas like, oh, you know, like I'm using linear. Some people will be like, you know what, I want clicky. I'm happy with this. Especially if you have feather touch, it will be like very silent. See, keyboards are typing there, it's just very silent. But I'm bottoming out around. So that's up to you. That's bottoming out noise, not the clicky noise. It's a linear switch, so it does not have a tuk tuk. So that's up to you. And I hope this sort of keyboard guide allowed you to figure things out. And there are other things like which does not matter that much, like N key rollover. Almost all keyboards have that. Like, you know, and 1000 hertz pulling rate. Not really that important, but again, you can have the 8000 pulling hertz. It's like mouse, I could get that, but keyboard no. And another aspect is like, is it justifiable to spend that kind of money on a keyboard? Well, I learned the hard way because again, I do work from home and this is my mouse. Now this is a freaking expensive MX Master Series. Now why did I buy that? I was going through mouse like almost every 2 years I was going through a mouse. So I learned it the hard way that you have to, if you are a heavy user, if you're a lightweight user, and again, it's also your location based. Like, do you have humidity in your area? Do you have micro dust in your area? Those things generally destroy electronics. So at that point in time, buying a device that is expensive, has warranty, and can be repaired is desirable. So that's why I'm not chipping it. Like, I've learned that lesson way too many times. My mouse was a very important one. Another was my webcam. I bought like I think 3 cheap webcams before I realized I had to just buy a quality Logitech C922 or something like that. So be very mindful. Do not cheap out on keyboard because again, you use it. I have contacted Keychron India and asked them, it's like, why the heck you do not have shine through keycaps? It's like, yeah, we are working on it and all that. It's like they're a bit high and mighty about that. It's like RGB, they gave RGB just for the sake of RGB. Without shine through, it's useless. I was like this close to buying it. It's like same price and it felt better, but it's like I'm paying for RGB, I'm not getting RGB, I'm not paying for that. So that's up to you. But many of you may, if you have the money to buy that, you know, Keychron V6 and then buy a keycap set from some other brand, if it's available cheaply, you can still have awesome fun. But that's up to you. But I did not want to do that. That would have increased the cost too much. So I'm very happy with this. So this was my small presentation on K70 Core and this whole ecosystem of what the hell is the keyboard. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment. I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe and thanks for watching.